gotten a ton of questions about the seller's disclosure and how can the seller actually go in and fill out these fields since you're not the one, filling it out for them. So we've received a bunch of comments on that. So we did figure it out, which is great. So the issue was when you're sending the document off into an envelope to them, it doesn't look like all of the fields are available for them to actually sign. So when they go in there, it seems like a form where they can't click the bubbles, they can't type anything. And it's been causing a little bit confusion. So we did figure out how to make those bubbles and those text boxes live for the seller to go in and fill out that form. So there is a trick to this. So what you do want to do, I'm going to go in. Hold on, let's see. I wish I didn't test it.
Can you just add a document?
No, because since we already uploaded it. All right, so say I went in here to DocuSign Forms, I uploaded and found my seller's disclosure. So now it's populated into our room. So what we want to do is we're going to click that text or the bubble on the left-hand side, and we're going to go into our envelope. All right, so here is where the tricky things come into play. So once we are in this envelope details, again, the envelope name no one else sees but you, so make sure that you label that as something that you'll understand. And again, make sure to add in that message because that's the email that they're going to see on their end. But what we want to do, just for the seller's disclosure, I'm not quite sure yet if it's for any other documents. When you add a recipient, you must select the pre-tagged roles. So these pre-tagged roles are what are coming through from your command and what you put in your details section in your room. So you want to make sure that the seller's information is in there correctly. So once you click on these pre-tagged roles, you're going to click seller 1. If there's seller 2, you can add them. And in this drop-down menu, you want to make sure you click on their name specifically. So I'm going to send it to Ashley again. No, we're going to fix your email. So once you make sure that their email is correct, also it just needs to be signed, we're going to go and click next. So it's pulling you through into the envelope to get signatures. So if you'll notice, all of these fields are highlighted in yellow because my seller, Ashley, is yellow. And she's the only one that needs to sign. So your name shouldn't be here unless you do have to, fill in something else. So this is what they should see. So all of the text boxes, all of these little check boxes should be all
clickable.
Yeah, clickable. They should all be highlighted. So that way nothing, they have every opportunity to fill out if they have a hot tub, spa, anything else like that. So if you want to just preview this before sending it out, this is what they're going to see when they click on that envelope. Or I'm sorry, when they click on that email once you send it.
Hey, Jana.
Yes.
What if you have two sellers? Which one is the one that's picking all those boxes? If you have one seller 1 and seller 2, who gets assigned that?
Good question. I'm not sure. I might ask Connie that question. I'm not sure who, if the husband or if the wife fills out this form or, if you can.
No, I mean, just if we add 2 sellers, who is the one that gets assigned that? I mean, they can't both get assigned that to fill it, can they?
I think they can.
Well, and 2, is the second person just signing off or do they have to fill it out with the seller?
Well, exactly. That's what I mean. Like, a seller 1 only getting assigned the actual clickable boxes, and then seller 2 has also the signature.
Let's see. So I'll be seller 2.
Thank you.
Yeah, we just want to test this out. So keep the questions coming. So we have both of our sellers in there. Again, I selected pre-tagged roles. So don't select the room participants or the email, in this case for the seller's disclosure. So let's see what this looks like. And it could be all highlighted the same for each person. So let's just see.
So your understanding, Janet, is that the seller's disclosure has to go in a separate email so that it can be tagged that way?
I would, unless you're assigning the entire envelope as a pre-tagged role, which I don't see why. I mean, what would the difference be? Just because those signatures are still going to go on those certain forms that need to be signed, other than the seller's disclosure.
So
you're saying you can send them with others?
Out or change anything that we have on the agreements, correct? They can only sign?
For the other documents, is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Yes, you would only have to sign those. So this one specifically, obviously the seller would have to fill this out. So there's just going to be more text boxes, but we did find that in order for them to type on those documents, instead of just adding their signature, you have to select that pre-tag role instead of the other 2 options.
Okay, so in this case, comparable to dot loop, this would be the fill and sign part.
Correct.
Instead of just sign.
Correct.
In comparison. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I have, yes.
Just to follow up, I'm just a little confused. So let's say these text boxes, it's technically assigned to the seller 1, correct?
Yeah, so I have actually a seller 1 and then seller 2.
Right. So seller 2 won't be able to like add in, like, let's say they would like to add in like some answers to this disclosure. They won't be able to like add answers to this.
Yeah, it seems like so. If you have both parties signing or both sellers signing, it just looks like seller 2 is just signing the document. So you might just want to tell your customers or your sellers that, hey, when you do fill out this seller's disclosure, I can only assign it to one person, so make sure you guys fill this out together. Seller 2, you'll get an email, of this seller disclosure through DocuSign, but you're just signing this. So make sure that your sellers know that whoever you're assigning seller 1 is, that they are filling this form out.
You might ask them who's going to fill it out.
Yeah, I guess that's gonna be like an added process. Like, you ask them first before sending the disclosure. You ask them which one is actually answering the entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I do.
Me
Kim.
too.
And
Okay.
we'll follow up with Donnie too to make sure there's not another way
Yeah, and
you have
Jana,
2 people.
Yes.
Jana and Ashley, and I may be doing this incorrectly. I may have just learned that, but that is kind of what I do through dot loop anyway. Is I always ask if I have multiple sellers. I'm like, okay, who's filling this thing out? And I just give one of them fill and sign, because in the past, when I've allowed 2 people to fill and sign, it's always caused problems because they go in and they try to do it at the same time, or, they're logged in. So again, I may be doing dot loop wrong, but right now my process is just asking who wants to be the person to fill it out, and then just assigning one fill and sign. So it sounds like this is kind of the same situation.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that. The best practice might just be asking which seller would be responsible for filling this out, whether they're working out, doing it together, but just one seller is responsible for completing this form. So there's no confusion and double, forms and misinformation.
Hey, Tyler.
All right, so that is the seller's disclosure, which was one of our biggest concerns because we had a ton of questions about this. So I hope this helped you. Let's see, we'll move on to more questions. Does everyone get the property seller's disclosure? Any more questions on that?
Can you just walk through that one more time?
Yeah. So the good news is that you guys don't have to go into this document each time and add in text boxes. So it saves you guys a lot of time because we were a little bit concerned that that was going to be what was happening.
I don't know if I can go back one more.
Yeah.
Will you guys catch, like, we got here we'd added the document. We'd added the document into the room, and then we clicked on it, or we clicked the checkbox in the upper right and then clicked the DocuSign pencil. Does everyone follow? And then we got here. So Janice had mentioned this envelope name is just for you. So if you need to name it in a particular fashion so you can track it easier, you'll do so there. And then you can type in your message here. But this is where we added recipients. And instead of adding room participants or email, we clicked pre-tagged roles. And this is where you get seller 1, 2, 3, and so on. And so I'm assigned as seller 1, Jana's assigned as seller 2. And then we went to the next tab to preview it. We have some questions popping in the chat too.
Carol Hart.
So Angela's question was, so if it says can sign, can they fill and sign? Yes. Go back and verify. Angela, if we aren't answering this correctly, please feel free to speak up. But yes, it would say needs to sign. But so it looks like seller 1 is the one that is filling and signing, and seller 2 is just signing. Any more questions? Okay, so we're gonna move on to the Facebook questions, and thank you guys for submitting those.
So Don Engel said, if I need to sign a document or have someone else sign a document that is not already set up with fields, how is that done? Don, are you on this call?
I am.
Oh, good. I'm a little bit confused. So say you are trying to send them a document, you just need to add their signature somewhere?
So I had a document yesterday for a class. I needed Connie to sign it. And I was like, well, this would be a great opportunity to test using DocuSign. But it's not anything that's in a normal sale or purchase, right? So it's not a normal document. And I put it in here and I couldn't figure out how to add a field for her to sign, how to add a field for me to sign. Sorry. And so yeah, so just a regular document that is, you know, a PDF that has no fields preset on it. How do I get it in there? This might have been how. And then put it for Connie's signature and send it off.
So is this form not in the DocuSign form? Like you had to upload it from your computer?
Exactly.
Okay. Do you have just a blank form that you could upload?
I'm sorry, did Dawn say it was the coming soon form?
No, I didn't say what it was. It was actually for color offers. So I can send you the form, Ashley or Jana, if you want.
Yeah, if you want to go ahead and email that to me, if it takes 2 seconds, and then we'll just download it and populate it in.
Yeah, so you'll just do that in the envelope. You would just assign Connie as a recipient, yourself as a recipient, and then whoever else that needed to sign. And then once you're in, looking at the form, there's ways to drag on signatures or initial boxes. So let's see.
Well, I'm right now trying to get that form for you, so I can't watch and do that at the same time.
Oh yeah, you're good.
Well, someone sent us a form.
Someone did?
Yeah, so that should have gone to my downloads, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I sent it there.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Downloads. Perfect.
All right, so, and this goes for any documents that you do need signed that aren't in the DocuSign folder. So what you would do is upload it from your computer. What you want to do is, if you want to view it first, you can click on it to make sure, you know, you got the right document in there. But you'll just click on the bubble to check mark it, and then we'll go click the pin for DocuSign. So for recipients, you would just add, you know, who you're needing to sign, or you can just add in their email address.
So in this case would be Connie.
Yeah, so let's do Connie. We're gonna add one more. Let's just say I need to sign.
Oh, yeah, type in.
Oops. All right, so if we're the only two that need to sign, let's go ahead and click next. And I did have this question as well. So when there are 2 or more people in the DocuSign room, just make sure that when you're attaching those specific signatures where they need to sign, make sure it's their color. So just be aware, you know, if I need Connie to sign and I'm accidentally on yellow, you need to make sure that you're on her actual name and color.
Okay.
So we're all going to initial this. So if I need Connie to initial it, you can just drag and drop right here. Drag and drop. It's somewhat similar to Dotloop when you had to add signatures or initials.
Can you resize those boxes?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, make them a little bit
You want to
smaller.
be neater?
Or if you just want to go, I thought it would go a little bit bigger. So, and then again, just make sure that you're on, you know, your color.
Something that I found helpful, if you once you put one initial and then there's like multiple initials that you're putting in the document, you can just, if you wanted like the same size, you can just copy paste the exact thing and then it will copy the size and everything.
Oh, smart.
Which we have in Dotloop. Yeah.
So she's saying
So, say that again. So you can copy that initial box and
Yeah, so try to select that blue
Yeah.
initial, copy that, and then
come down. And it keeps the size like you were saying.
but
That's correct.
that doesn't make it the same field. That creates a brand new field. So if she initials in that top one, it doesn't initial that bottom one too. Are you following?
I didn't understand. Yeah, I didn't understand.
Can you
What's that?
pasting?
Oftentimes when you copy a field box, it copies it and makes it the exact same one. So if you initial
Up
the
here.
one yeah, sometimes when you do that in other software, I don't know Dotloop or DocuSign very well, but it will duplicate that completely. So if you sign in one, it signs in the other, as opposed to making it a brand new one. So I was just confirming that that's not the case.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but that's something that I observe. But I haven't really tried if it's gonna like when they sign one, it's gonna automatically sign the other one.
Exactly.
Not sure. Yeah, not sure about that yet.
Okay, well, a good test though. That's interesting. That'll do that. Thank you.
I would test it, but it does seem a little bit easier if you can copy and paste, especially if it's the same size, you know, a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
Okay, so Gail, we'll start with Gail's question. Yes, Gail, you always want to click the little bubble on the top and then it'll populate that pencil to DocuSign.
And you can select multiple files or documents, sorry.
That way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when that adds into an envelope.
But it's been working the way I've been doing it, but I like that way better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then you'll see when you do have multiple documents, you'll see them all right here. You can have them to be open so you see all the documents all at once, or you can shrink them up. But you would see all of them right here and they're clickable.
Okay.
You could work your way through an entire envelope.
You're saying I can see all of them right here, but you're not in the room anymore. You're still in the document.
Yeah, we just selected one document, but if we were to select more than one, you would see just like how it is with the 2 pages right here, you could just shrink it and then you'd see, let's just say the listing agreement, lockbox addendum, things like that, or you can break them out.
Right.
Well, I hope we answered your question, Dawn.
And then we had one more.
You did. Thank you.
I think Connie used to sign after we submitted our loops. So we just want her to sign when we need a document immediately, not on listing agreements, correct, or her inbox will be overloaded.
I think Connie is.
What? What's the question?
Hang on one second.
Connie.
All right. So when
Oh, thanks, Angela.
yes. So when we did we needed the broker to sign our listing agreements, but in the past we just left that blank until we submitted the loop, and then Connie would go in and sign them, or there was a back end way to do that. Is that still correct? Because if we, Connie's inbox will be overwhelmed if everybody's sending her listing agreements and sending her all this paperwork to sign that she doesn't normally need to sign until after it's already submitted.
Mm-hmm.
That might be a Jen, Connie, Nancy question. I don't know.
Yeah, Nancy.
Angela Weepy talking.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. And well, in NEFAR, the broker doesn't need to sign the document. So I think it's only in the FAR
yes.
that the broker needs to sign. So I'm sure she could probably do it either way, Angela.
Okay. I'll ask her and then I'll get
Yeah,
back to
I would
everybody in my
imagine.
office.
Yeah, I would imagine you could probably. You mean when you submitted for review, she'd go in and sign?
Yes.
Yeah, I would hope that would still be the case. I wouldn't think that would be any different, but we can check with her.
I just don't, if she doesn't need, if there's a process already that's been established, we don't need to be sending her emails unnecessarily.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just making a note to ask her.
Good questions, guys. All right, Jana's got some more pulled up, so we're gonna keep knocking.
I'm sorry. So what was the resolution? Don't add her as a recipient. Wait
This
to
is
see
not
how
applicable
she wants it done.
this is not applicable to NEFAR. Angela is in our Amelia Island office, so it's applicable they have different documents.
Okay, but I mean, for coming soon, I would need Connie's signature.
You
So
just
I
send
add
that
her as a
separately.
recipient.
Send that separately. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's something that you need immediately. But, I'm talking if it just needs to get signed eventually.
Mm-hmm.
In the past, we didn't send it to her. So we kind of need to establish that so everybody knows for whatever form it is.
Amy, do you want to answer Elizabeth's real quick?
Can you access your DocuSign account without going through command? So Elizabeth had a question. Can you access your DocuSign account without going through command? We suggest, as well as, Keller Williams suggests going through command. This is only because when you're going through that specific opportunity through and into DocuSign, those two are talking to each other. So that's where you'll see this sync transaction right here. So the opportunity knows that you're going to be uploading certain documents and that they're signed and whatnot. So the best practice is to go straight from your opportunity and to go through DocuSign by clicking on Go to Transaction. So Brittany asked, will you show us how to upload for compliance? Yes. So what we'll do, since let's just say we got all of our signatures added and whatnot, there's two ways. Say if you just need to upload the HOA disclosure or the condo rider, you can add it individually by clicking on Add a File. You'll want to select DocuSign because that's where all of your forms are, and then you'll just select which one that specific one is labeled as. So I forgot which one. Oh, the condo writer. So you would just click condo writer. You would see signed next to it, like this one, if it was signed by your seller. So all you have to do is click assign, and then it should go in. If you want to attach multiple files, you can do so by clicking this attach multiple files here at the top. And what you'll want to do is, again, click DocuSign again. You'll see everything that's on that checklist. So all you have to do is go drop down, make sure everything's in the same, it's all the same. I'm just kind of clicking documents, but.
And this would have the signed at the end of it.
Yes, and you'll see, it should say signed. Let's see, where's that one? This one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll see a sign. So DocuSign labels it as what it is and then puts a dash and a sign so you know which one you're pulling through. Okay, so you're just making sure that they're in the correct boxes, and then you'll click attach and they should populate through.
And then you'll work your way on the right-hand side for under contract and closed to get to those documents.
Yep.
I have a question.
Sure.
Let's see, where were you? You were somewhere, you click on your lead-based paint.
To add a file.
Folder, yeah. Okay, where you see source of documents. All I see right now in my little trial test, what are we calling these? Test transaction.
Opportunities, yeah.
Yes, my opportunity. I don't have, all I see is manual and custom folders. And I know I'm signed up for DocuSign. I know it's active. So why do I not have that little middle button, DocuSign?
Have you gone through DocuSign and gotten documents for that specific opportunity?
Mm.
And then you'd sync the transaction, and then it would populate that you have documents ready to pull, that you can pull over now.
Yeah. I used API Nation to transfer all of my loops. That's not the same thing, is it?
No, that's just bringing them all in. So if you don't see go to my transaction or sync my transaction, it just says, so what does it say?
Start with .loop or DocuSign.
Yeah, it should be something different right here to allow you to choose whether you're going into .loop, which we won't do.
Okay.
But DocuSign. So if you've already had things filled out and have just played around with it,
right.
And after you sync, you should see that DocuSign option.
Okay.
So that's why it is important to go through your opportunity instead of straight into DocuSign so that they talk to each other.
Okay, so when I'm doing my test, just to recap, because I have a feeling I'm not the only one a little bit confused here. When I'm doing my test opportunity and I've started everything and I want to choose the files for that opportunity, am I having to sync transaction before I can see the little DocuSign box?
Yeah, so once you got all your signatures, the best practice would just be at the very end, or throughout you're getting signatures and you want to upload those things for compliance. Go ahead and click sync my transaction. That way you'll see those documents when you click on DocuSign.
Okay. I will give it a test.
I have not. So you're saying after signatures and before you load them up, I haven't done sync transaction, but they're still populating.
Just in case. So for instance, if you have a few documents in here and you need say the lockbox addendum, and you go through, start your transactions and you get one signed, if you don't sync it and then you want to upload it, the only one that's going to populate through is just the form. So it's not going to be the signed one. So just make sure that you're syncing it so that all the signatures that are on those documents, you're pulling those through and not just the blank form.
Oh. I didn't notice whether they were signed or not. I have a question. If you're just uploading the PDF for the property appraiser, do you need to put it in your room first, or can you just put it straight into compliance?
Great question. So for your property taxes, the MLS form, obviously those don't need signatures. Those are strictly just for compliance. You don't have to upload those into DocuSign. What you'll do, if you don't see them on the list, don't worry. Go ahead, you're gonna wanna click this add item. You can name the document MLS or the property tax records. You can scroll down, it should say other. You can add an additional note, and then you'll just manually upload that from your computer.
Great.
All right, we're gonna go back to the Facebook questions real quick because we did have a handful, so we want to make sure we get through those.
Wait, I have a quick question where we are right now. I want to show you this if I can. No, I can't. I was going to share my screen with you, but on this portion, I had transferred a listing from .loop into Command, and where you have that sync, I don't have the sync button, but I do have start a transaction and a drop-down box, and it shows me DocuSign and .loop when I drop that down. On the left side where it says status, it shows not uploaded. So but I've transferred it in there, but it's telling me that it's not uploaded yet.
What did you transfer in there? The documents into DocuSign, or you just transferred your loop over?
I don't recall. It's the only one that I have in here right now in Command because I am still comfortable with .loop, and this transaction is going to close in .loop prior to June 30th. I was just using this one so that I would have something in here for this class.
Mm-hmm.
So I think my question is, if it's showing not uploaded, and in the top it says start a transaction, in that little drop-down box, I have both DocuSign and .loop.
Mm-hmm.
I should still choose DocuSign for this purpose, correct? And then add to file?
Yes, you could. Yes, you'd have to. So if you already had files from that .loop transaction, you'd have to download whatever files you already had in that loop.
Right.
Even though you move the loop over, you've moved the information over, but the files have to be downloaded to your computer. And then, yes, you would click add a file and upload whatever documents you pre-downloaded from that loop. And then you would continue the transaction through DocuSign. So you'd go to transaction and you could get the remaining documents that you would need.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I think, so there's one question that we're going to work on an answer for. So the expired date in a rental or lease area, even though there is no lease. We've had this question come up a few times this week. So we're going to be reaching out to our support through the region to figure out what the solution is. And we will be sure to get back with you on all of that, because there was a handful of people that said they were experiencing that as well. You can go ahead and pick the next one.
Yeah, so we had Frederick. He asked as well, once a document is created that you need signatures, at least one person has signed. So we've already sent it out for signatures. Is there a way to remove signatures to be signed again after editing? So I think what he's saying is, you know, you've already got signatures sent out. They're already on the documents. How would you remove one? I am not quite sure on that one. We'll have to look into it, but I will say this. Here, I'll go back into.
The question is how to make changes to that document without having to start over again. So in .loop, you would go back and it would say, hey, you're making a change that's going to remove the signature. You're like, cool, no problem. But here he's wondering if, I guess he found that when he did that, it made him, it like cleared everything off the document and he had to start over again.
Because if he changes the document, it has to be re-signed.
Well, it has to be re-signed, but you don't want to have to input all of the information again. You just want to make that one little change, like, oh crap, I forgot there was a microwave or whatever, and you want to click that, and then you send it back to your customer and go, hey, sorry, I was a bonehead, would you sign this again? And they're like, cool. And this one, he was saying, I haven't experienced it, but I believe he was saying it cleared everything out of the document. He had to start over.
So we're just going to test this one. So we've already gotten signatures from Ashley as well, I believe either Megan or myself. So we have them in here.
So try to make a change to the document, like
if we were to add an additional signature somewhere or strike through that.
Something, I don't know what this one, like the listing date, the agreement, the listing date, they go, oh, you know what, we want to extend with you until December, or we want to shorten the time with you, or whatever.
Or add a text box, because that's where it's really going to make a difference on it, that you're changing the document.
Okay.
Yeah, I would use the strikeout, and you just click on this little pin. And I believe, and I'm not quite sure, but I know that in .loop, that there was a strikeout feature where you can add up and, add in another initial field plus a text box saying, this is change, whatever the case may be. Does that help?
It looks like it's not redoing the document, but obviously, that was his question. I haven't experienced it, so it looks like you can do that, but you can't make a change without it looking like a revision.
Yes, so you just might have to revise it. So that as well, so this was the next thing I wanted to bring up, because this kind of correlates to that specific question. So you'll notice that there's different, so these two are the same. So you'll notice that one is a PDF, one is signed, and then just let's pretend that this one is the same listing agreement. I probably archived it. You'll notice that this one says form. So the one that we grabbed in order to make those markups was that signed one. So he probably accidentally hit form. So basically, you're going to have three options. So you get a PDF copy, you get a signed one that has that green box, and then you'll get that form one again. So the form is basically a blank slate of the listing agreement or whatever document that is. So that's why that there's no signature on that. There's no dates. There's no nothing that has been signed. And then you'll see obviously on the signed one. And I know there are two different documents, but just bear with me, just as an example. So he probably grabbed just the wrong form, seeing three boxes. So just make sure you're aware of, the little icons on the form. This also became a question that we had from one of our agents. So say you are working with your buyer, you already created the opportunity, you already are in DocuSign to go ahead and submit an offer over. So she got it all filled out, she sent it over. It didn't get accepted. So now you're off to showing properties and hoping to put in another offer soon. So what you want to do, you don't want to create double the work. You don't want to go and delete this opportunity because you're working with that. The buyer doesn't change, just the property. What you want to do is update all the information, one in command, but also in this details tab. So we're not looking to buy 8702 Perimeter Park. You just want to change that to the current home that you're going to now put an offer on for the second home. And when you get to this document tab, just as you had originally, you're pulling in the purchase and sale agreement. So you would get a purchase and sale agreement for the offer as a PDF. You would see the signed one, and then you would also see this form one. So what you want to do is archive those old offers. You're not looking at those anymore. The offer didn't go through. So to start all over again with a new offer without creating a new opportunity, without creating a new room or anything else like that, you would click the purchase and sale agreement that has the form, and then you would just fill it out from there with the new information to submit your new offer on the second home. Does that make sense to everyone?
Jana?
Yes.
It makes sense, but I've done it. And I don't get that form, by the way. I get a PDF and a signed, but I have yet to get a form. I do get a certificate saying when they've signed. However, when I went to make the second offer, because I didn't have that form in my room, I could not click on a new purchase and sale agreement because it believed there was already one in there, even though I archived it.
Correct.
So I had to go to .loop, fill everything out there, then upload it to here for signatures. So I need that form to come up in my room. And it's not. How do I make it come up?
So make sure that it might have accidentally gone in your archived. I would just check to make sure that you're either in all documents or check that archived one to make sure that it's not accidentally in there.
Actually, guys, I was watching one of the KW videos and they said that and because I got your screen, there's a way to change it to opportunity one, within that same person. And I don't know or something, but you can actually change it to the next home without losing any of that information. And I'm sorry, I don't have the right thing, but there's a way to do it without erasing and archiving and all that stuff. It just completely gives you a whole new screen.
That would be wonderful, because also when it came to compliance, it gave me an option for both addresses, all the documents that I'd archived, and it was very hard to find. I mean, thank gosh I labeled them the way I did, because, yeah, it was crazy when I was trying to upload to compliance. I got everything in there.
No, there was something on the KW on one of the videos. They addressed that specifically, just because you have so many different buyers, or you have the same buyer, but maybe multiple offers. And so they totally addressed that.
Is that you, Yvonne, talking? It sounds like Yvonne.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What do you think it was on the guy that does all the videos? Gosh, I can't think of his name.
Scott Leroy.
Yes.
It wasn't Scott Leroy. It was a cute little girl and boy on whatever. I'm sorry, I was just trying to.
Was it KW Connect?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, KW Connect.
We'll look for that and we'll verify with Donnie.
Thank you, Yvonne. I can look for that.
Because Ashley, we're supposed to submit every offer, whether it's been accepted or not. So how do we change the names of the forms? So I know this is 123 Main Street and this is 123 Union Street, so that I can submit them accordingly. Because I think that's what Gail was talking about.
Oh, I was able to rename them. I forget how, but I was able to rename them.
So how do we rename them?
I clicked on right-clicked and this popped up.
Okay.
To rename.
Yeah, and that might be a little bit easier when you are in that, submitting more than one offer, just so you're not clicking the wrong one and it looks a little bit more, organized and cleaner, just so, which offer, is accepted and you're selecting the correct document, not the old one.
And then that way it will show to the person signing too what they're signing, because they don't understand informed consent disclosure, or NEFAR, blah, 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 or FARBAR. So, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So we did have one more question, and I know we have kind of addressed this in our previous calls. Justin Gary said that I'm finding that the details, for instance, like the buyer's name or the email addresses that have been entered in the details and saved in the beginning are disappearing. They're not auto-filling in. I think that this is just a glitch. I know that we are looking into this. Just make sure when you're clicking on your documents that everything is there. So if it didn't auto-populate, you can type it in real quick. But we are looking into a solution for that to make sure everything auto-populates.
And then, we forgot to check out. Hang on.
I was gonna say, that's a problem that I've had, and it's even if I type it in and I save it, And then like the 1 minute it'll show it, I'll go out, come in, it's there, I go out, come in, it's gone. So it's getting it to capture and then sometimes it'll save some stuff and not the other stuff. So that was some of the frustration.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Hey, Angela, can you break down your question a little bit more? Because there's a handful here, and I think we answered a few of them. So
yes. So in my new agent training, I keep getting asked these questions, and so I want to make sure that I'm giving the correct answers.
Okay.
So in .loop, each person who was signing needed their own email address. Is that the same in DocuSign?
Yes.
Okay, because I think for other companies, people can share an address, so that's why there's some confusion. Couples can share an address, so okay. So in .loop, we could go to templates. So we deal with the FAR forms, and knowing which one to use, they're just slight nuances. And so in .loop, we can go to the template section and read them to see which one we need before we put it in the room. Can we do that in DocuSign, or do we have to, is there a way to open them and read them before we add them?
if we were to go to add DocuSign form and go to group, is the group?
No, we go to, okay, so in the FAR bar. So we've got some.
Do you want to do the listing one?
No, so in the FAR bar, we have just a million more forms than you do in NEFAR.
Okay.
So you have to go up to the library instead of the group.
Okay.
And then go to FAR bar.
We might, we're not in the association. So
okay.
So right, you're saying it would all populate here?
So yeah, and there's like 100 forms. And so some of, they say just for inspections and for agreements and for different things that we do with the FAR bar, the name of them, sometimes would have to look at both forms to see which one makes more sense in that situation.
So you're saying, like, if I'm pretending this KW955 is the FAR bar, you're wanting to click these to preview them before you check mark it to add.
Yeah, before I see which one to add.
Okay. It doesn't look like I can, but it doesn't mean that that's the end all be all answer. So we'll look into that for you to double check.
Okay, perfect.
And then you had.
I know you can, if I may jump in, I know you can access those under My Documents. So when you go on the top, instead of you going directly through rooms, on the top is an option that says My Docs.
Right here.
And then you can view all those documents there.
Yeah, see, mine's empty when I do that.
When you go to Forms.
Okay.
And then there's the FAR.
Okay, so My Docs on the top and then in Forms. Okay.
Yes, so here I'll click NEFAR real quick.
On my end, I can see.
Yep, there it populated. Yeah, so then you could look and see them here.
Although there's a little bit issue because it's watermarked, you're gonna see it says there's a sample. So it might just like a little bit harder to read it, but this one helps.
So there's no way to view it right there though, and then add it to the room while you're viewing it?
No, you have to go back to the room and then add it.
So go back to rooms. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Kim.
Did you have any more that were on that list?
I have a quick question.
Okay, go ahead, Chandler.
Okay, so when we have all of our documents, there and they're signed and everything, and then we've, they're also in our opportunity once they're signed. So if we have a listing, and that whole listing file is complete, is that when we hit the Submit to Market Center button for it to get reviewed for compliance?
Yeah, so it's very similar to .loop as, you would upload your listing agreement or those documents and you would submit them to Jen. This is the same exact thing. So once everything's uploaded, go ahead and submit it over to her, and then you'll receive a notification in the comments and she'll at you a message whether, you know, something needs to be uploaded. And then this right here is your notifications. So I'm all caught up, but you would see just different notifications that you can scroll through and see the different messages that she's sending you or your admin is sending you.
And then once, so specifically if it's a listing, so then once I have it under contract, and so then all those documents are uploaded, I can hit the submit to Market Center again for the purchase side of it?
Yeah, just so she'll know that this one, you're in your under contracts tab.
Oh, I see. You just toggle the, okay, sorry. You just toggle the tab. Okay,
yeah.
Got it.
And then once you're closed, you would upload, the DA can be uploaded, a settlement statement, survey, and whatnot.
Oh, okay. Got it.
All right, guys, I'm just going to double check the chat to make sure we didn't miss anything.
And I had more questions from Facebook, if we can go back for a sec.
Yeah, let me answer this one real quick because it was from a while ago. Kim, you had asked, I know that we need to go through Command and connect the opportunity to DocuSign for it to communicate, but once it's connected, can you just log right into DocuSign and add all the documents? Like Jana said, we would advise that you go through opportunities just because it's easier, because this page will stay open and it'll take you right to your room, and then when you come back to this tab you'll be able to sync and be able to upload any of the signed documents that got put into that room. So I would just get in the habit of going that way. And then yes, all of our training will be on YouTube. If you are in Jack's Beach, it's Megan's YouTube channel. And in our office for Southside, you can look up my name and it's under playlists, and I have pulled over Megan's, the DocuSign training that's on Megan's YouTube. So you can find them in both places. I think that's it for the questions. Go ahead, Angela. We'll wrap up with yours, and then I have something to show you guys to wrap up.
Okay. Can you go back to the Facebook page so I can see what they were? I think we got them, but I just want to make sure. So number 3, can we add a document? Yeah, so adding something to the room twice. I wasn't able to see that form. And so I didn't, and it wouldn't let me add another version of it if we needed to change something. So I think we're okay there. So the FAR listing agreement was updated because of the new clear cooperation policy. Is that in DocuSign yet?
We'll have to follow up with Jen.
Okay. And then we also need to add the ANCAR property change form because it's not there yet either.
I would email Jen both of those because she'll probably be able to get back to you a lot sooner than we can.
Yeah, she is the one that has been uploading and has been communicating with DocuSign when we first, got on to Command and DocuSign. And she's been communicating with them to make sure all of our forms have been updated and uploaded.
Okay, perfect. And then I have one more question.
Okay.
If I receive multiple offers on a property, I just use the add other document to put them all in there and say not accepted, not accepted, not accepted, because they all have to go to compliance too.
Yeah, I would rename them not accepted, just so you're not looking at or you have multiple documents, and
right.
You don't want to just confuse yourself if you're trying to click the one that you are under contract with.
Right. I renamed them in .loop now. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't another way, or that compliance has something else they want done for that.
I don't believe so. That would be a Jen question, but
sure.
I might explain that as well when you're asking her about those 2 documents.
Okay, I'll ask her because that's coming up in my new agent class up here. So I need to make sure that, because I have a whole, checklist step-by-step of how to submit for compliance. So I have to redo that for Command.
Okay. Great.
Thank you.
Okay, so one of the last things here that we're going to share with you guys. So if you guys are a part of the Facebook groups, you may have seen this, like the KW command. There was a really great DocuSign training guide that got shared. It's a literal step-by-step of the process. We understand that there's going to be some things that come up that are more detail-oriented that might not be outlined in this guide. However, this guide is primarily to guide you through the process. So we're going to be sharing this with all of you. I added a table of contents here, so if you needed to jump to a certain topic, you're able to do that. So I'm going to post this on all the Facebook pages, and each of your offices will email it out. But if we're trying to get to editing documents, you can jump down to page 27 here and go ahead and start to see the process. I do want to note that even in here where you see different names of different documents, this is just the example. The Market Center that created this amazing document is up in Michigan. However, I did use my PDF editing skills and reflected our office here. So when you guys do go through the drop-down portion, at least, there's some familiarity when you're going through at least this process. But when you get to actually seeing some of these documents in here, they are going to look a little different than ours, but that's totally okay because this is just an example. It's primarily the actions that you need to take that are going to help you through this process. And you can get all the way down. This was another thing that came up. The creating offers option is in here as well. And then you'll have submitting your commissions as your final step. And there's some special notes in there from your MCA. So be sure to definitely make sure you're double checking your process, and you can use this guide as great help.
You're going to be emailing that out to us, or is it going to be on the Facebook?
Both. I'll email for our office. This will go to Kira. She'll send this out for Jacksonville Beach and Amelia Island. And then it'll go on all the Facebook pages, and it'll live in the files tab of our private Facebook groups.
This is sweet.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Okay. I'm noticing when I'm doing my little test opportunity that sometimes when I'm clicking on something, it takes me over into DocuSign and I have to log into DocuSign. Can you, in layman's terms, tell me why are we having to go to the DocuSign site instead of it not being fully integrated within Command?
So DocuSign is its own program, and we don't own DocuSign. So we have Command is your portal into DocuSign, which is its own freestanding website or freestanding engine. So
okay, that's a good way to put it.
Yes,
it's our portal.
Yep, it's your portal into DocuSign. So sometimes it may ask you to re-sign in. It's primarily for security reasons. And that's why if you're signing in again, it's likely because you are either maybe starting a new transaction, you're jumping from transactions. It's mostly a security measure to keep your documents safe.
That was a great way of explaining it. Thank you.
Good. All right, guys. So I think are right at 10 o'clock. And this recording will be posted on the YouTube and Facebook. So thank you guys for your time. We are going to be continuing to work through your questions over the next few weeks. And so keep them coming and we'll make sure we're getting them answered. But thank you so much for your time. It really means a lot to us that you guys take your Friday morning to be here. So have a great weekend and we will see you next week.
Yeah. Happy Mother's Day, ladies.
Happy Mother's Day, moms. My mom's coming to see me.
Have a